The Hero's Journey. The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. A quote by Joseph Campbell. What is the journey of life for a man? Each of us is born with individual gifts and walks a unique life path of hardship and opportunity. With mindfulness and determination, we all have the chance to become the hero of our own story. Some men start early in their quest for fame and fortune. Others are late bloomers. Although Darwin was just 22 when he began the voyages that informed his life work, he was 50 years old before he published On the Origin of the Species in 1859, the theory for which he is best known today. Or Sam Walton, who opened up his first Walmart at the age of 44, and Bill Wilson, who turned his life around and co-founded Alcoholics Anonymous at age 40. Central to success in life is the ability to adapt to new circumstances and to keep learning. At the age of 51, after almost a decade as chief of urology at a major Bay Area hospital and head of a successful urology practice, I left hospital medicine to focus on men's sexual health and rejuvenative medicine. The transition wasn't easy, but it brought creativity and drive back to my professional life at an age when many men are looking to coast or slowly wind things down. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes and motivations. Hollywood heroes like James Bond and Rambo are fearless and run towards danger. The movies glorify these men, but the real stories are more complex. Many are reluctant heroes, ordinary people who find themselves faced with an extraordinary challenge. Think of John McCain, a Navy pilot who, after being shot down, spent 6 years in the Vietnamese POW camps, but refused early release in solidarity with his fellow prisoners. Or Jackie Robinson, born into a family of sharecroppers in rural Georgia, who braved death threats to break the color barrier in the all-white major leagues. Life circumstances pushed these men into extreme situations that they faced with self-doubt and trepidation. Many heroes wish someone else would handle the task for them, but they rise to the occasion in the end. Often men in these situations aren't comfortable with their role as heroes, but they understand that this is their life path and grow into the role. The inner struggle for the unwilling hero is his desire to return to normal, but this is an impossible dream. Our hero is no longer the same innocent boy who began the journey to manhood. One source of insight into the hero's journey is the work of Joseph Campbell, who spent his life studying the epic stories of world cultures and exploring their underlying meaning. The hero's journey in mythology is a process of personal transformation from an inexperienced boy into a mature man of wisdom. It is helpful to understand how this process unfolds in Campbell's model. The departure. Every boy is born into a culture with traditions and beliefs. His life begins at home, where he understands his surroundings, people, and traditions. There's a comfort in knowing the world in which he lives. He takes for granted that this is the way that things are supposed to be. Yet to achieve manhood, he must put aside security and challenge conventions and himself to create a new reality and identity. To accomplish that, he must leave the comfort of the familiar, so the initial phase of the hero's journey is the departure. Think about the place where you were born and raised and how far you have journeyed since then. For some of your friends, the comfort of home prevented them from achieving their full potential when opportunities arose. The high school quarterback and prom queen may never leave town to test their abilities at the next level. Some men would rather be a big fish in a small pond, but in doing so, they miss the chance to reach their true potential. The call to action. Other men refuse the call to action out of a sense of duty or obligation to family or friends, due to fear of failure, or the lack of internal motivation. A hero's journey must come from within, although frequently a mentor facilitates the quest for independence and achievement. This guide could be a wise parent, an athletic coach, a teacher, or a religious figure. Think about a pivotal figure in your life who inspired you to trust yourself and your instincts. Sadly, many men shrink back from the call to action and live mediocre lives, wondering what could have been. Fortunately, at any age, you can do something truly remarkable. Consider the life of Nelson Mandela. After serving 27 years of a life sentence, the South African government released him from prison at the age of 71. At 75, he became the first black president in a fully representative multiracial South Africa. As George Eliot wrote, "It's never too late to be what you might have been." Astronaut John Glenn joined the NASA space program at 37, just shy of the program's cutoff age of 40, to become the first American to orbit Earth and the third American in space. At the age of 43, he joined the U.S. Senate, where he served for 24 years. The point of no return. Once a man leaves the familiarity of home, he becomes more deeply committed to the journey, and at some point, there's no turning back. Houdini, for example, knew from a young age that he wanted to be a magician, despite his parents' objections. He ran away from home by hopping a freight train, eventually ending up in New York City, where he had to panhandle on the streets to eat. He went on to achieve astonishing success. Elon Musk made $180 million when he sold his stake in PayPal in 2002. Musk then invested all of his time and money in SpaceX, Tesla, and Solar City. By 2008, he had completely run out of money and found himself in divorce court. His total commitment to the realization of his innovations enabled Musk to succeed beyond his wildest dreams. Forging a new identity. As the journey begins, the hero entirely separates from his known world. One crucial aspect of the quest is to discover and then forge a new identity. Although he reveals his willingness to undergo a change, he soon encounters danger or setbacks that test his will and skills. Our hero realizes that he no longer has the safety net of his previous life and must fend for himself. Early setbacks, followed by success, give him the confidence to move forward. In 1919, Walt Disney was fired from one of his first animation jobs at the Kansas City Star because his editor felt he, quote, lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Disney later acquired Laugh-O-Gram Animation Studios, which he drove into bankruptcy. These early failures gave no hint of his colossal vision and the success Disney later achieved in life. A multitude of trials. As the quest deepens, the hero moves towards initiation. The first step in the road of trials, a series of tests the hero must undergo to begin the transformation. Often it appears that the hero will fail these tests. The odds are against him. Frequently, a mentor or higher power helps our hero with advice or gifts. In the Greek epic The Odyssey, Odysseus encounters a multitude of trials, including addiction, monsters, cannibals, sorcery, life in hell, delusion, seduction, confrontation with massive danger, forcing the choice between the lesser of two evils, and finally conflict with the gods. These dangers are all metaphors for different aspects of human reality. Along the journey, temptation of the flesh and material wealth may lead a man to abandon or stray from the quest. Who can forget how Robin Givens distracted Iron Mike Tyson, or how sex and drugs destroyed so many rock and roll legends? Imagine the fantastic music Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, and Kurt Cobain could have made had their lives not been cut short. Saboteurs. Friends and family may have positive intentions, but they can also derail a quest and hinder a man's development. Men on a hero's journey are often called selfish, unrealistic, crazy. Your ability to identify obstructions on your path and align with your supporters is critical to your mission's success. Because few people complete their hero's journey to mature adulthood, most people will unconsciously attempt to sabotage your journey. The live or die moment. The next step in the journey is entering the dragon's lair. Consider, for example, the bravery of the American soldiers landing on the beach in Normandy. The live or die moment of the journey is often accompanied by despair, when everything seems to be lost. At this critical juncture, our hero gains access to a previously unavailable part of himself, one last breath of energy, strength, or creativity to defeat the overwhelming forces he must confront. The hero must call on inner power that he does not know he possesses. Audie Murphy was one of the most decorated soldiers in World War II. In December 1945, the Allied generals ordered Murphy and his unit to hold against the German counterattack. After the Germans hit the M10 tank destroyer, causing it to burst into flames, Murphy ordered his troops to fall back. Alone, he covered their retreat and held off the Germans by mounting the burning tank's .50 caliber machine gun and calling in artillery strikes. His position was attacked on 3 sides by 6 tanks and waves of infantry. Wounded and out of ammunition, he returned to his company, refused medical treatment, and organized a successful counterattack. For an hour, the Germans tried every available weapon to eliminate 2nd Lieutenant Murphy, but he held his position. Transformation. In the end, our hero overcomes his greatest adversary and achieves the objective that he set out to complete. The successful completion of the quest brings money, power, love, and fame. However, these actual treasures become secondary to the personal transformation that has occurred. Edward Acao was a champion surfer from Hawaii, but he's best known as the first lifeguard on the island of Oahu, where he saved more than 500 lives. Eddie would brave waves that often reached 30 feet or more when no one else would go out. Instead of enjoying the accolades of being a champion athlete, Eddie chose the thankless job of a lifeguard. The long road home. After the climax of the quest comes the long passage home, carrying the riches earned during the struggles. Dangers and roadblocks clutter the path back. During the return journey, our hero must deal with whatever mental baggage remains from his upbringing and life that may present itself later as weakness. Before the final homecoming, there are often more unforeseen obstacles to overcome. This ultimate test of our hero's fortitude further defines and deepens his mental and emotional growth. The strength he has built during the quest enables him to overcome this final obstacle. Lewis and Clark reached the Pacific Ocean in November of 1805. In March 1806, the weary explorers headed for home in St. Louis. They retrieved their horses and crossed the Bitterroot Mountains. On the return trip, the expedition separated into 2 parties in Idaho to explore the country more thoroughly. During that time, Blackfoot warriors attacked Lewis's company. To make matters worse, Lewis was wounded in a hunting accident. Lewis and Clark reached the end of their 8,000-mile journey in St. Louis on September 23, 1806. But not every quest is successful. The massive effort can make or break a man. Tragically, Lewis committed suicide several years later at the age of 35. On the other hand, Clark became one of the leading officials in the West and an advisor to many American presidents. Ironically, when our hero returns, he finds that he no longer fits into the world that he once knew. His worldview and capabilities have expanded far beyond the world he left. Unfortunately, this has become a significant issue in the United States, as many Afghanistan and Iraq war veterans have real difficulties fitting back into civilian life. It's also been the reality of many Vietnam vets and probably been true of soldiers returning from war throughout history. So what's the point of all this? I believe that we are born on this earth with a purpose and a hero's journey waiting for all of us. Unfortunately, most of us never reach our true potential. We're too comfortable or too afraid to change, or we stumble and fall while battling the dragon, and do not have the persistence to keep fighting. For those who succeed, it comes down to determination. Do you have the drive to do what you know is right? This book is intended as a resource for men on how to live a better, healthier life, written by national experts in their respective fields. Our website will provide additional resources for you to live your best life. Many of the most effective interventions are free and simply require personal commitment and determination. I wish you all the best on your own journey, and I hope that you inspire and mentor the next generation of heroes.